Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Dave, and today I'll show you one of the most controversial MacBooks that Apple has ever made. And no, it's not the 12-inch MacBook. I have one right here because actually this is one of my favorite MacBooks ever made. And if you also like this, make sure to subscribe because I'll be posting a video on it very soon. But no, this is the 2017 13-inch non-touch bar MacBook Pro, the base model. This launched at $1,300, and looking back, I still struggle to understand who this really was meant for. Because honestly, who would buy this? Well, I did. For the full price of $1,300 back in 2018. This is actually my personal MacBook Pro, and I used it for almost 4 years until I upgraded to the 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro in 2022. And that ended up being one of the biggest tech upgrades that I've ever experienced. Now, to be fair, if you chose the Touch Bar version, that one made a bit more sense because it had 2 fans instead of 1. Because yes, this base model only has a single fan. The Touch Bar version also had better speakers, higher wattage processors, more ports because it had 4 Thunderbolt ports. This thing only had 2, which you can see right here, and nothing on this side. And of course, if you were to buy that, you would also get Apple's newest feature of the time, which was the Touch Bar. And yeah, I know it's a gimmick, but at least it was something new, something to play with. This machine didn't even have that. And for me personally, this base model with function keys just didn't fit my needs very well. And if you want to know why, well, stay tuned. But back in 2017, I had just started my first job, and honestly, I had to save almost 3 salaries in order to be able to afford this. But either way, let's start with the positives. The display was actually very good. It had a resolution of 2560 by 1600, 500 nits of peak brightness, and it also supported the P3 color gamut, which made the screen look a bit nicer. And honestly, the screen still looks fantastic even today, and it's actually surprisingly close to the latest M4 MacBook Air, minus the notch, of course. But yeah, these 2 displays are actually very similar. The build quality was also great on this machine. I really loved the full aluminum design. I mean, yeah, mine does have a few scuffs here and there, but yeah, then again, keep in mind that this machine is almost 9 years old, and for a 9-year-old machine, yeah, this held up extremely well. I remember that before this I had a Dell Inspiron, which was made out of some of the cheapest plastic that you can imagine. It would creak constantly, and it never felt solid or premium. So compared to that, this MacBook felt, and well, still feels premium. But for my workflow, this is where things started getting a bit frustrating. The biggest issue was the storage, 128 gigabytes. 128 gigabytes for a $1,300 laptop. And keep in mind, a CleanMyMac install would take around 25 to 30 gigabytes, which meant that I had less than 100 gigabytes available from day one. And since I was already working with photos, had a bunch of university projects, and I also started, editing videos, it quickly became a problem. I had to constantly manage my files, move projects around, and clean up storage just to keep, everything running smoothly. And honestly, if it wasn't for CleanMyMac, I probably wouldn't have managed to use this machine for almost 4 years. So if your Mac is running low on space or starting to feel a bit, slower, this is actually the tool that I've personally been using for years. CleanMyMac safely removes junk files, old caches, system clutter, which is especially helpful if you have a smaller SSD like this one. It also includes built-in malware protection that helps keep your Mac secure, along with performance tools that help free up RAM and optimize background processes. And by far my favorite feature is the one that I'm running just now, which is Smart Gear. You just hit scan and it checks everything in one go. You get cleanup, protection, performance all in one click. This executes maintenance scripts and flushes DNS caches, making your MacBook feel as fast as when it was new. You can also keep all of your apps up to date using the Applications tab, and if you have a bunch of duplicated files, MyClutter can help you easily find them and of course delete them. And if you're still unsure what's taking up your space, well, with Space Lens you can visually see what's taking up storage. So let's run a quick scan and see how this looks. So if you want to quickly find what's taking up your space, this is one of the best tools that I've ever seen. And on top of it, we also have Cloud Cleanup now, which helps declutter your iCloud, Google Drive, OneDrive, and even your Dropbox. So if you're interested, you can get 10% off using the code on the screen and in the description. But right now, let's go back to the 2017 MacBook Pro. And the next area where I personally struggled with this laptop was actually performance. Because yeah, it's running an i5, which on paper sounds fine, until you realize that it's a low-power dual-core processor. And for my type of work, it quickly became a bottleneck. Don't get me wrong, when it was brand new, running High Sierra, performance was actually quite decent for light tasks. emails, browsing, and everyday usage felt smooth, felt fine. But as my workflow quickly became more demanding, especially with photo and video editing, it started to feel so slow. And over the years, this only became more and more noticeable. Right now, this MacBook is running, it's running Ventura, which is the latest officially supported version. And it's still fine, but if you compare it to any modern Apple Silicon MacBook, the difference is huge. I even changed the thermal paste recently, last week, and that improved things quite a bit, because before that, the CPU would get extremely hot and the fans would ramp up very quickly, even during simple tasks like, I don't know, watching YouTube. But now it's much more quieter and more manageable. But yeah, this basically shows how much cooling matters on these machines. I actually even see the fan turning off sometimes. So if you take a look in the corner there, it says that it's running at 0 RPM. So that's quite cool. Of course, once you start doing anything, the fan will ramp right up, but yeah, it's quite cool having a silent machine, at least while it's idle. When it comes to RAM, this machine only had the base 8GB, and yeah, that's fine for basic use, but personally, I wouldn't recommend anything less than 16GB in 2026. Again, if you're only using this for, writing an email, writing a script, browsing the web, yeah, it's fine, I guess, but yeah, 16 gigs is the way to go. Port selection was also very limiting for me, because you only get 2 Thunderbolt ports, which you can see right here. And that's about it. Oh yeah, and a headphone jack. So if you wanted to do anything more serious, you had to use a dongle. Because of course, one of the ports was used for charging and you would only have one free port. So adapters were pretty much necessary. This is quite a cool one, which has USB, USB-C, and also HDMI. And finally, we have the butterfly keyboard, which, yeah, it's that keyboard. Look, surprisingly, mine is still working perfectly. I clean it regularly with compressed air, just like Apple recommends, because yes, Apple actually recommends that you have to clean this keyboard with compressed air. And while I know that this keyboard had a lot of reliability issues, for me, it was fine. I never experienced double presses or stuck keys or anything like that. And please don't unsubscribe, but I'll have to admit, I actually enjoy the butterfly keyboard. I know it feels very different. It's almost like typing on a table. There's no key travel, there's no feedback, there's no nothing. But in a strange way, I actually love this keyboard. Let me just quickly do a type test. So yeah, you can hear it. I don't know, I didn't mind it. I actually like this keyboard. And finally, we have battery life. And when new, battery life was quite decent. It lasted around, I don't know, 8 hours. But today, I barely get 3 hours of very light use. And the battery is actually in decent condition still. Let me just check it. So yeah, it's at 85% battery health with only 208 cycles, which is fine. Again, keep in mind, this is an 8 to 9-year-old machine, so 85% battery health is actually quite good. But of course, after so many updates and, apps requiring more power, yeah, it doesn't last as much as it used to, but it's still fine. But yeah, it's fine up until you compare it to a modern Apple Silicon MacBook that can last 15 or even 18 hours. And yeah, that really shows how much things have changed. And speaking of that, today you can get a much faster M4 MacBook Air for only $800 brand new. I'll drop the Amazon link down below. And this thing has incredible battery life, and compared to that, yeah, this machine feels like a, completely different era. But the main question is, should you buy one today? Personally, I wouldn't recommend it, unless the price is extremely low. Maybe $150 or hey, even $200 if it's in mint condition like this one. But anything higher and you're already looking at the M1 MacBook Air, and yeah, that machine is on a whole different level. My wife actually used this very MacBook for the past few years, and I recently upgraded her to the M2 MacBook Air. Separate video here. And the first thing that she said, without me even asking her, is that wow, this feels so much faster and snappier. And I genuinely cannot believe how long the battery lasts. So yeah. But now I'm curious, have you used one of these 2017 non-touch bar MacBook Pros? If you have, please drop a comment down below and let me know what was your experience like. And of course, make sure to check out CleanMyMac and grab it today with 10% off using the link in the description. And as always, this was Dave on Tech, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.